I don't think people give Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon enough credit. I mean, granted, there are a lot of glue eaters running around talking about Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon is the best card in the world and that you should play as many copies as possible and all that other stuff. Look past that. This card is actually pretty good. The ability to not be targeted, not be destroyed by battle, and inflict double piercing damage, as well as being a 4,000 beater, he can create game situations on his own right just by summoning him and attacking a zero defense position monster. Your opponent is probably going to outright lose the game. I think that the difference between this one and Olaf's build is that while Olaf's might be a little bit more competitive, go ahead and click on this annotation to see the video. I feel that the Chaos Max Dragon is more of a pure build. It's a cheaper version of the deck, and it allows you to play Blue Eyes how it's intended to be played, summoning a bunch of dragons to your side of the field and playing Kaiba's most iconic monster, the Blue Eyes White Dragon. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and destroy, or should I just say white lightning, that subscribe button. But more importantly, if you're not a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate deck, go ahead and hit that notification bell as well, because we just too strong. Without further ado, I present to you a Blue Eyes White Dragon or a Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon deck profile. Alright guys, so looking into the stats of this deck, Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon is pretty similar to I really feel that it's similar to the Invoked build that Olaf put. I feel like their combo to, or not their combo to potential, my apologies, but their ceiling is somewhat the same. And Olaf did say that the Blue Eyes Invoked version did have the potential of at least topping a regional level. He thought that it was a really solid tier 2 deck, and I'm gonna put this deck at that same spot, and I'm gonna tell you guys why inside of the deck profile. It just has so many great assets to this deck, so I will put competitive in this just for the sole reason to make you Blue Eyes Chaos Max players happy. Will I get some backlash? Probably, but I really don't care, because I really do think that this deck is a lot better than what people give credit for. So its attack is very high, its defense, it's somewhat, you have some good cards in defense, you have some terrible cards in defense. Its consistency is what makes the deck really good, and its power is great. Now its recovery, don't even worry about it. If your opponent is breaking your board, you're going to be put in some positions where you're probably not going to be able to recover, but you have so much power that you're probably not going to be, your opponent's probably not going to be in a position to break your board. And if you play conservatively enough, you won't need recovery because you'll always have a backup plan. So getting into the monsters, only one copy of Chaos or Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon, and you guys are probably flipping out, TheCaliEffect, why only one copy? That's so trash, blah blah blah. Well, you guys seen the video of this deck playing the Invoked Mech Knight, and Invoked Mech Knight is a very competitive deck, and this deck was kind of going toe-in-toe with it. Actually, I want to say it was going toe-in-toe with it until game 3. First of all, I didn't decide to make the lock combo, which I should have did going first, which is another reason why I dropped this card to 1. But I also drew into another copy of the Ritual card, which just lost me the game completely. But I really feel like this card is awesome going second. If you're forced to go second and your opponent has a zero defense monster, summon this card and sneak up on him for game. It's almost nothing they can do. Pendulum Magician can't purple poison this card. They can't trap this card. It's just a very powerful card if you're sneaking up on a zero defense monster. And if you're not sneaking up on a zero defense monster, it inflicts double piercing damage. So any monster that's 2,000 in lower is you're gonna at least inflict 4,000 damage. Now the reason why I'm not playing multiple copies is again because I don't want to see this in multiple times in a game where I'm going first, but also it's a very good second going card, but it's not that great of a card seeing in multiples and going first. I think that it's an amazing card. It sets up a lot of plays that the regular Blue Eyes decks don't have, but like I said again, I want it going second and not going first. Next is 3 copies of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. This card is freaking awesome. Being able to reveal a Blue Eyes monster to summon this card to your side of the field and getting a free destruction is really important. It also allows you to place another monster on your side of the field for a Exceed or Synchro play. Next is 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now, Olaf did say that, if you guys didn't know, I call him Olaf, it's Andrew Aquatree. He did say you only play 2 copies of this card inside of any Blue Eyes build unless you're playing Pot of Desires. Not only am I playing Pot of Desires in this deck, but Chaos Max Dragon also requires you to send Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your graveyard, and it also fuels so many combos. You need 3 copies of Blue Eyes in this particular build. Now, I am running a card. I really do hate this combo as well, and I feel that literally the only reason why I run it is because if I go first it's a really good combo. But the Ampher Mage combo, which requires Goliath and Archbrave Dragon, basically it allows Chaos Max Dragon to be a lot more live going first. If you open the Advanced Ritual Art Chaos Max Dragon and a revival card, basically what you do is you play the Chaos Max Dragon. Obviously, you revive the Dragon monster, which is the blue eyes monster you send to your graveyard, and then you make number 95 Galaxy, the Galaxy Dark Matter, and now you can send it to your Archbrave combo. Essentially, Chaos Max Dragon is a decent going first card because it allows you to get into this card a lot faster, and it allows you to get Blue Eyes White Dragon into your graveyard, which is going to, you know, fuel your graveyard revival cards. And then lastly, for the big monsters, I played one copy of Dragon Spirit of White. This card is a good Dragon Shrine target, allowing me to send 2 dragons from my deck to my graveyard. To be honest with you guys, I actually do like Goliath. I just hate the Archbrave Dragon. It's just a piece of trash sometimes, but it actually does have a lot of good value if you're going against Pendulum Magician, because you can banish all their face-up Pendulum Scale cards on the field by summoning this card. So it's like a good, terrible card. If it were level 8, I'd probably love it. But that's it for all of the big guys. For the Sages, or I'm sorry, the level 1 light tuner monsters, 3 copies of Sage with the Eyes of Blue. This card is a godsend to this deck. By normal summoning it, you can add 1 level 1 light tuner from your deck to your hand. That's just really good. I don't even know what to say other than just really good. 1 copy of Master with Eyes of Blue. This card not only tutors your monsters, your level 1 light tuner monsters from your graveyard to your hand, fueling your draw combos, fueling so many other combos, but it allows you to summon Blue Eyes White Dragon from your graveyard, or I'm sorry, a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard to your side of the field by sending an effect monster. It's a very great utility card. 2 copies of the Whitestone of Legend. Olaf did say that you only need 1 copy in this particular build, but this deck is heavily built on sending Blue Eyes cards from the deck to the graveyard. So the Whitestone of Ancients allows you to recurse those cards back into your hand, and on top of that, it gets you free Blue Eyes monsters to your side of the field, worst case scenario. And then 1 copy of the Whitestone of Legends. This card is to help you unbrick your hands in case you do get a little bricked. By sending this card, you can have Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand. So that's basically it for all of the tuners. I'm sorry, actually, we played 2 copies of Effect Veiler as a hand trap, and this is the only hand trap I play because I feel like this deck, while you could play more hand traps, and more hand traps might be more deserving to make this deck a lot more competitive than what it is currently, I felt that I only needed 2 copies of Effect Veiler because, first of all, my monsters are bigger than yours. So if you are making that Electromite combo, I just summon monsters bigger than yours and just start wiping your board with my bigger monsters. And only thing I need to do is just stop one thing to continue on with my personal combo. So I thought that that was the only thing needed. For the other summonable monsters, 2 copies of Manju of 10,000 Hands. This card is, it's pretty good. I don't really need my normal summon in this deck, so having a dedicated normal summon to search a ritual counterpart that I need is pretty freaking good. And then 1 copy of the King of D. Now, Olaf did make a really good point on this card not being great. It's not a great card, but when you're playing cards like, I don't know, 2 copies of Dragon Shrines, cards of Consonants, you know, trade-ins that you don't always need, and, you know, just stuff that you don't need for, you know, like cards like Pot of Desires, if I haven't already said it. There's going to be times you're going to draw those bricky spell cards you're going to want to get to your graveyard to search your more important spell cards from your deck to your hand. And the King of D is definitely the king at, you know, getting rid of your useless cards for better cards. So that's it for the monsters at 22. For the spells, 3 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords. Now, this card is like great. I think that this deck really maximizes the potential of Blue Eyes. Get it? Because it's a Chaos Max deck and it maximizes the potential. Basically, this is your main revival card. Use it to special summon your dragon monsters. Again, like I said, with Advanced Ritual Art, if you can resolve Advanced Ritual Art in this, you can make any rank 8 in the game, or you can just have 7,000 on the board, which is close enough to be game in itself. 2 copies of Revival of the Dragon Rhapsody. I was playing 3 copies of this card, and this card's very easy to play in this deck. Seeing that we have so many ways to send dragon monsters from our deck to our graveyard, the most important thing after that is summoning the spellcaster. Well, I don't know, King of D is a spellcaster, Effect Veilers are spellcasters, Sage and Masters are spellcasters, so hopefully we can get some spellcasters on our side of the field to make this card more live than what it normally is, because it's normally a live card. And then 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Our revival cards, they're pretty good. I like how all of our revival cards work very well. Being able to special summon monsters to our side of the field that we've already dumped into our graveyard, and this deck does a pretty good job at dumping. And then 1 copy of Soul Charge. This helps make bricky hands unbricky. I'm telling you, that's really what this card is for. It literally unbricks all of our hands and allows us to make really good boards. So that's it for our revival cards. For our draw/search engine, of course, we run 3 copies of the best card, Melody of Dragon Awakening. This is a card you do not want to be negated with anything, so you want to use all of your cards to bait out their Ash Blossoms or whatever they are. Fortunately, Ash Blossom has been seeing a decline. It's not the best hand trap anymore, so if they don't Ash Blossom your Melody of Dragon Awakening, you're in a pretty good situation. 3 copies of Trade-In. This card's really good at digging into your deck. I mean, you have quite a bit of level 8s inside of your deck. I want to say 9 or 8, maybe 10. So Trade-In's really good. A lot of times, Melody the Dragon Awakening is used to be used to get, you know, Blue Eyes an alternative because that's all regular decks can do. Well, Melody can actually search your Blue Eyes Chaos Max, and if you've already banished like your ritual spell card with Desires, then you just trade in it. It's like, it's not the most important thing, but it definitely adds synergy to the deck. 2 copies of Cards of Consonance. I thought that this card was a really good Ash bait. It also put our tuners into the graveyard. Yes, we only run 3 targets, but we run 6 ways to search them. There's either drawing into them, or your Sages with the Eyes of Blue, and even your Master with the Eyes of Blue can recurse them from your graveyard to your hand. So I liked it because it helped me dig deeper into my graveyard, into my deck, and it put Dragon Monsters into the graveyard, so I thought that that was really good. And then lastly, 2 copies of Pot of Desires, which is basically a draw 2 cards in this deck. To be honest, there isn't too many times I activate Pot of Desires where I miss it. You want to get all of your searching before you Pot of Desires, all your draws, all your searches, trying to dig into your most important pieces before you Pot of Desires. But more often than not, Pot of Desires is free in this deck. And that's it for our draw/search engine. Lastly, for the main board, we have 2 copies of Dragon Shrine. I was going to run 1 Foolish Vario, 1 Shrine, because that hypothetically would be the best way to do it. But then I started to recognize that if I were to do that, then I won't be able to get the max potential out of my Revival Dragon Rhapsody. And essentially, these 2 cards plus a tuner is a pretty nice board, so I was like, might as well risk it for the biscuit and run the 2 copies of Shrine. The odds of you seeing both Shrine in your hand at one given time are low, so I felt that it was worth the risk. And then lastly, 1 copy of Advanced Ritual Art to send Dragon Monsters from my deck to my graveyard. And as you guys can see, this deck is really good at sending Dragon Monsters, and that's what I thought that Blue Eyes Chaos Max brought to the table that other decks couldn't do it. Essentially, the Rhapsody and King of D card helped solidify Chaos Max and you know, the strategy to send as many Dragon Monsters from your deck to your graveyard as possible as a solid strategy, especially since we have so many great revival cards. That's it for the main board. For the extra deck, so many great cards in the extra deck. 2 copies of Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. This card's nutty. It's basically the Pendulum Ender. If you summon this card turn 1, your opponent can't summon more than 2 monsters at the same time. So Pendulum summons for all those exciting cards that they do, not gonna happen. It also is good against decks like I don't know, True Draco, when they want to activate those graveyard effects to try to break your board, because this can negate card effects in the graveyard. Let me make sure it's card effects and not just monster effects, so I'm not cheating a whole bunch of people. Once per turn, yeah, when a card effect is activated. And then more importantly, it can tutor any level 7 dragon monster, like Dragon Monsters, from your deck to your side of the field. That being Azurai Silver Dragon. This card's ass. Every time that I could have made it, I didn't make it, but I have a strong feeling that you're gonna need it one day, and it's gonna be there. It's a really good card, but it's like you don't ever play it. And what it does, basically, it helps us fuel our graveyard, or it takes advantage of our fueled graveyard. When it's summoned until the end of the next turn, our Dragon Monsters can't be destroyed. And it also allows us to summon a normal Dragon Monster in our graveyard once per turn during our standby phase. So it's a pretty good card, you just don't use it often. And then Cloud Castle is really good. This card is dope. After you make your first Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, you make the Cloud Castle to summon your Blue Eye Spirit Dragon back to your side of the field, and now you can make your True King of all Calamities, which I did make in the game quite often. Next is Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. I make this card quite a bit because normally I go into the Black Rose Moonlight and I have a tuner in my hand, summon the tuner and make Crystal Wing, and then Black Rose Moonlight to get rid of your opponent's really good spot removal. That's it for the Synchros. For the Exceeds, Galaxy Cypher. That's gonna actually make the number 95. If I make the Cypher, you go right into the 95. Sometimes you can take your opponent's monster, but it's not really worth it because that would be the only monster to be able to attack. I actually did it to make game one time, but it is what it is. Dark Matter is the card that you want to make on your first board. 4,500 beater, that's going to get all of your locks out. Hope Harbinger for that spell negation and forcing your opponent to attack this. And then True King of all Calamities. This card is made with the Cloud Castle, negate all your opponent's monsters' effects. For the links, we run 1 copy of B-Coat Bulker, the styling and profiling, Big and Back, B and Boo. It's a pretty decent card. I don't make it often, but it's pretty good. This card actually makes the deck really, really good. Like, I know I was talking about all that riff draft for how, you know, the Rhapsody's good, Rhapsody's good. There was a point in time I was playing 3 Rhapsody and Brilliant Fusion, and the Brilliant Fusion combo went activate Brilliant Fusion, send a Blue Eyes, send a, you know, Garnet. It doesn't really matter. You can send the Leslie, but the Blue Eyes is needed in the graveyard. Summon the Seraph Knight. Use the Seraph Knight summon to summon the Manju to search apart. Then use those 2 to make Akashic Magician. Now you can summon your Chaos Max Dragon, and then your Rhapsody is live because, yes, this card is a spellcaster, and it's really good. I think that this card is really good in this deck because, again, it makes Rhapsody almost live every single time, and all you need is 2 monsters with the same type. So if you're playing Dragon decks, literally, if you open 2 plays to make a dragon monster, 2 dragon openings, and a Rhapsody, you just make this and then you summon the dragon monsters back to your side of the field. 1 Underclock Taker, really good at getting your opponent's threats. Link Spider allows you to keep sending cards from your, you know, field to the graveyard. And then Link Karibo. Ironically, these 2 monsters, you know, if you have a normal monster, and a level 1 monster, like a Blue Eyes and a level 1 monster, instead of making the Spirit Dragon, you can make the Link Spider and the Link Karibo, then use those 2 monsters to make the Akashic Magician, which is the Spellcaster, and then get you your Rhapsody play. And that's why I think that this deck is highly underrated, because Akashic Magician really fulfills the conditions of Rhapsody, and I don't know why anybody hasn't noticed that yet. But that is it for the extra deck. For the side deck, the side deck could be a work in progress. I think it's a pretty decent side deck. It could be better. 3 copies of Lava Golem. I'm struggling with playing 3 or 2 copies of this card. It's a trade-in target, but more importantly, I don't care about giving this to my opponent because I can easily destroy it with Alternative Dragon. It's a board breaker in itself. Being able to Lava Golem 2 of their best cards and then destroy it with Alternative will probably win you the game. 2 copies of Called by the Grave. Really good against hand traps. Thinking about maining it, and, you know, just saying F hand traps. 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, really good against back row heavy decks. And then this is a card that, you know, if Called by the Grave actually goes as I plan to, this card isn't as great, which is Ciphering Gear Gamma and the Driver. The great thing about Gamma is that this, plus your level 7 monsters, whether you make your Black Rose Moonlight or whatever, does equal you right back into either a Cloud Castle, well, actually just a Cloud Castle because you can't play anything else, but still, it's pretty dope. 1 copy of Skill Drain because, I mean, it hurts the opponent more than it hurts me. And then for when I know I'm going second, I actually run the next Chaos Max and the Chaos Form. Reason being, I'll take out the Goliath combo and I'll put these back in. And if I know my opponent's going first, they're obviously going to suspect me to make Chaos Max. I make the first one, they'll probably stop it. I make the second one and attack for game. You don't need the second Advanced Ritual Art. I found out through testing that it wasn't that good to play 2 Advanced Ritual Art. And Chaos Max is actually a better, or Chaos Form is actually a better card to play. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the Effect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this Chaos Max deck profile. It's a really, really good deck. I think that it can take some regionals by storm, but I do think that that is this deck's ceiling. Again, if you guys want to see more content of this, more deck profiles, go ahead and destroy that like button. Let's try to get to 150 likes on this deck. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.